Hello there, welcome to a little Disney Noah vlog, folks. I'm Noah, and I'm one heck of a vlogger if I do say so myself. But let's not talk about me. Let's talk about why we're here. We're here for the 2024 Wrapped for Disney Noah vlog. For now. I thought that it'd be a fun idea to kind of go through all my statistics for the year. This is something I just decided would be cool to look through. All my music stats, my park stats, my life stats, my activity, what happened on YouTube this year for me, and everything, and kind of just go through all the numbers. And I think that's interesting. I think this could be something cool to look at going forwards, doing it every year, or even just watching this one back, seeing how next year compares to this year, and that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, but I guess we'll just get into it. We're gonna go through my theme park stats, my music stats, my activity, my YouTube, and the future, starting with theme parks. So this year I had 102 theme park days. So that's about like twice a week, which is my way of justifying that. That doesn't seem too crazy. I just spend my weekends at, the parks. Yeah. Um, I visited 161 theme parks, or visited theme parks 161 times, I should say, including the shopping centers. So including Disney Springs, including City Walk, including Downtown Disney. Only if I actively did something in those, not just walking through City Walk to get to a Universal or an Islands. I did 133 without those, if you're interested. And then I visited 19 unique theme parks, which are pictured around the screen. You've got the Disneys with Disney World, Epcot, Hollywood, Animal, Blizzard Beach, Typhoon, and Disney Springs. Up in the top right, we got Universal Islands and City Walk. And then you've got the SeaWorld area with SeaWorld, Aquatica. Aquatica I went to for the first time. Same with Discovery Cove. I'd never been to either of those. Busch Gardens over in Tampa I've never been to before. I made my way out to the West Coast and visited Disneyland and DCA and Downtown Disney for the first time as well. And then I got to visit Legoland and Six Flags Over Georgia, which I both haven't been to in over a decade at this point. So 19 unique theme parks. I park top a lot. I scanned into 141 total theme parks with an average of 1.58 theme parks per visit. So sometimes I would stay in just one park. Sometimes it would be more. Yeah. And the standard deviation is 0.83. I visited 107 theme park resorts. So if you remember, I visited 102 theme parks. So that means that I visited more than one resort only 5 of those days. As you can see, average is 1.05 theme park resorts per visit, and 7 unique theme park resorts shown here as well. Here's kind of the breakdown of those. So I visited the SeaWorld Orlando resorts, 16 days. Miscellaneous resorts, 11 days. Universal Orlando Resort, 21 visits, and Walt Disney World Resort with the most at 59. Yeah. And then here's my top 10 parks in terms of visits. So Epcot was actually my most visited with 25 visits, probably because of all the festivals. There's always something new there. And just a lot of fun. That's one of my favorites. Universal Studios with 21. 11 of those were specifically Halloween Horror Nights. So that for sure gave that a boost. Animal Kingdom, my favorite theme park, or local Orlando theme park, 20 visits. I'm sure that got a lot of boosts from Dino Land, unfortunately, and it will continue to because dinosaurs sticking around, thankfully. We've got SeaWorld at 15. You got Disney Springs at 15 as well. I gave the edge to SeaWorld because it's actually a theme park. Magic Kingdom at 14, Islands at 10, Hollywood at 10, and Disney Springs also at 10. And then my 10th place is a tie with 3 visits each for Busch Gardens, Disneyland, DCA, and Downtown Disney. And then visits per month. I figured this would be a fun way to break it down as well. So you can see in August, I visited the parks 15 times. There was a lot going on in August. That was the end of my internship, the start of my new job. That was also Horror Nights happened in there. My birthday weekend was partially in there. There was a lot going on in August. I was also kind of recovering from my 4 visits in July where I went out of town for Olivia Rodrigo. I had COVID. I went out of town for the 4th of July. So there was a lot of other stuff going on in July. So July was my least with 4. August was my most with 15. April was like final season, end of the school year, so that was tough. Only 5 visits, but everything else is pretty consistent. Yeah, June was also like pretty heavy. Summer makes sense. Okay, and then here's my personal rankings. These obviously can change and have changed a lot over time. Um, so I think it's fun to kind of track how these update if anything new pops up, maybe. So water parks, I think I would rate Discovery Cove number one. It's just so special. Typhoon, I just love the theming. I love the vibes. I love the atmosphere. Volcano Bay, I'm excited to go back now that I'll be working for Universal in the spring. I'll be able to go back again. I've only been once. So that could shift around. We'll see. Aquatica, I've only also been once. I was supposed to go again, but I had COVID. Um, so excited to do that one again. And Blizzard Beach could shift around. Not my favorite, but I do enjoy it. And then out of just the regular parks, I have Disneyland at number one because it's Disneyland. Then Animal Kingdom, then DCA actually. DCA, I didn't expect it to be that high. And maybe it's just because I've only been over there once, but those two parks, insane. And then Epcot, and then Islands. I love Islands. Magic, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, Hollywood, and then Universal. And I do enjoy all 10 of those theme parks, so don't get me wrong. Just because one's low doesn't mean it's bad. That's just what they're ranked at. And then that can kind of shift a little bit with an Epcot festival or with Horror Nights. So I kind of shifted them around. I moved Epcot up to 3, and I moved Universal all the way from 10 to number 5. HHN does a lot for me for that park. Yeah. Okay. Hotels. I visited a lot of hotels as well. I visited 37 total hotels with 20 unique hotels. I won't list what all those were. And I visited hotels over the course of 18 different days. And my average hotels visited, if I was given that I was visiting a hotel, is 2.06. So normally I visited more than one. My top visited hotels were the Polynesian at number 1 with 5 visits, then Port Orleans French Quarter at 4, which Mickey beignets were acquired, all 4 of those visits. The Boardwalk at number 4, and then the Grand Floridian Contemporary were tied with 3 each at 4 and 5. And then if I personally had to rank them, and this was really hard, I would rank Polynesian number 1, then Disneyland Hotel, then Wilderness Lodge. It's just kind of out of the way, so it's harder to get over there. And then Contemporary, and then Art of Animation. And then it was really, really hard not to include Animal Kingdom Lodge and Pixar Place in that, but I needed to give them honorable mentions. Festivals. Like I said, HHN, 11 visits. Fantastic. Love that event. Can't wait for it to happen again. And then Flower and Garden was my most visited Epcot festival, which makes sense. I think that's my favorite of them, with 8 visits there. And then Food and Wine. I had 4 visits, and Festival of the Arts I had 3 visits. Festival of the Holidays I had 3 visits. The later in the year festivals were a little difficult for me. I had some health stuff going on, and my taste has been missing for a little bit. So that kind of ruined some of those Epcot festivals for me personally. But we're working on it. Hopefully it'll get back to normal, and then I can enjoy those like I used to. And then Mardi Gras 2 and Howl-O-Scream I only went once, but I loved it, and I can't wait for it to happen again. And then I figured I'd throw some of my HHN stats on here as well. I said them in my last HHN video. But yeah, I had the most run-throughs of Monstrose with 16. You can pause and read all that if you really want, but I did 81 houses this year. I attended 11 nights. I did 12 houses in one night. That was the most I ever did. And then there's my personal ranking with Monstrose, Insidious, and Slaughter Cinema at the top. Okay, my top food items that I ordered this year was, my number 1 was Deluxe Burger with their kids' chicken nuggets at 9 times. Yep. They're so good. They're up here. It's like a full meal for a kid's meal price. You get a drink, you get their special sauces. So good. And then the cinnamon roll bites at 8. Which, wait, did I? Yeah, I went to Flower and Garden Festival 8 times, and I got the cinnamon roll bites 8 times. So that tells you something about those. The fact that they're number 2 on this list when they were only eligible for 3-4 months of the year is kind of crazy. And then I love a good Wookiee cookie. Wookiee cookie's a classic. From Backlot Express. And then some of my other favorites, the Dino Dig ice cream sandwich, I'm so sad that we're going to lose that one soon. The Mel's Meatball Mountain over at Manning Cafe always hits. And then I combined some. Any Dole Whip that I got 6 times. Voodoo Donuts in general, 6 times. Mickey Beignets on both coasts combined were 5. And then back to Flower and Garden. Honeybee Stir Chicken and Waffles and Violet Lemonade both got 5 times. Both just Flower and Garden options. So, kind of crazy. And then miscellaneous stats, I got 5 alcoholic drinks this year and 12 table service meals. Yeah. Okay, moving on to our next category. We've got music. My top artists, and these are listed by like the amount of times that I streamed their tracks this year. No one is surprised. She's number 1 with 3,797. And then with not even half of that at number 2, Sabrina. Then Gracie, then Kelsey, then Lizzie, then Casey. Kind of all expected. They all released albums this year. They were all big for me this year. And then you've kind of got some of the other ones. You got Olivia. I saw her in concert, so she was pretty big. Halsey released an album this year, but it was pretty late this year, so it didn't get that much for me, but incredible album, still love it. Then Ariana and Conan, they released albums as well, but they didn't stick with me as much. I don't think they pop up on the rest of these rankings, but still good albums. And then I figured you can kind of compare that to my all-time streams. It's most of the same people, just slightly different order. Yeah, the only one that's new there, I think, is Carly Rae, and I think Lizzie's the one that kind of replaced Carly Rae for there. And then I thought it'd be interesting to see like how they broke down in terms of what percentage their streams were this year of their all-time. And you can see like Lizzie McAlpine, 88% of her all-time streams were from this year, which puts her at number 14 of mine all-time. So I think that's pretty interesting. You can pause and look at that if you want. The people who had like the best showings this year compared to their like average year placement, I guess, are Lizzie, Casey, and Gracie, followed by Kelsey, Sabrina, Madison Beer, and Lizzie McAlpine, and Billie Eilish, sorry. Yeah, but cool. Okay, and then we're going to go through each of my top albums, starting with number 10. We have Speaking Down Taylor's version. Don't know how she made it on this list. I love her. She's my number 2 Taylor album, I think, now. It's hard to decide between 2 and 3. It's on here somewhere, so you'll see what I said when I made this. But with 324 streams, and then my favorites, these are all in no particular order because I'm not doing that to myself. I've got The Story of Us, Never Grow Up, Haunted, Long Live, Castles Crumbling, with a couple honorable mentions there. Number 9, The Great Impersonator by Halsey. Like I said, it came out in October, and I didn't get to it until like November something, because I was busy with the Sabrina concert and Kelsey's album that came out the same day. So that was a busy weekend. So this album was a little delayed for me, but it still ended up with 359 streams. And my favorites were Letter to God, 1974. All of them are great, but that's my personal favorite of them. Hometown, Life of the Spider, Hurt Feelings, and Alice of the Upper Class, which should not have been a bonus track, but you know what? It's fine. We still got it. And then there's my honorable mentions. Love this album. I'm still like getting used to it, but I love it. Okay, and then next up at number 8, we have Folklore, which I fear is unfortunately never leaving the top 10 for my mental health, with 378 streams. So these are all pretty close. We unfortunately have the one which was cut from the set list, Mirror Ball, which I somehow got as a surprise song. This Is Me Trying, Betty, Illicit Affairs, all great. This whole album, The Last Great American Dynasty, Peace, The Lakes, it's so hard to choose. Moving on to number 7, we have Emails I Can't Send by Sabrina Carpenter, also never leaving the top 10. 393 streams, all pretty close, with Emails I Can't Send, Because I Liked a Boy, How Many Things, Nonsense, Tornado Warnings, and then just edging it out, Skinny Dipping, I'm Fine, I Love, the bonus tracks, and Opposite. Yeah, this album is my most streamed non-Taylor album of all time. It just is what it is. It's a comfort album. I love it. Okay. Now we get into where all the new albums come in. At number 6, we have Deeper Well by Casey Musgraves, with 457 streams, so a pretty good jump. With my favorite songs being Cardinal, Deeper Well, the song, love that, J8 Green, The Architect, adore that song, Little Sister, I had to include a bonus track, and then my honorable mentions are Sway, Moving Out, and Irish Goodbye. I adore this album. Seeing it live was amazing. Loved that concert. So good, so good, so good. Okay, moving on to number 5, we have Older by Lizzie McAlpine, with 544 streams. Personally, I would maybe say that this was my favorite non-TTPD album this year. And it's honestly maybe even close to favorite total, which is really hard to say. But in terms of streams, it was number 5, with my favorite songs being Older, All Falls Down, Broken Glass, Vortex, and Force of Nature, with my honorable mentions going to You Force Me To, Movie Star, and Method Acting Demo. This album is ridiculously good. It's insane. It blows my mind. It's so hard to choose favorite songs because I feel like I have to listen to the full body of work in order to get the full story, feel everything. This album did a lot for me this year. I needed this album this year, and I'm so thankful that I got it. I actually did film a reaction video to it, and it was lost on a flash drive that went corrupted with the last 2 days of the Disneyland trip, which is wonderful. Yep, I wish I had that video, but I don't. But I didn't get the album back then like I do now, unfortunately, for me. I've had quite the journey with this album this year, and that's all I'm going to say. We're going to move on before I just start losing it. I love this album so much. Okay. Number 4, we have Patterns by Kelsey Ballerini. Another pretty recent one, but 577 streams, coming in strong, even though it was end of October released. My favorite songs are Patterns, Sorry Mom, This Time Last Year, Wait, and Cowboys Cry 2, with honorable mentions going to We Broke Up, Baggage, and Did You Make It Home outro. I'm so excited to see this one live in February. I've never seen Kelsey before, and I've been a fan for years and years and years now. So incredibly excited. I love this album. I will say it's maybe a little higher than it should be on this ranking because, I had a full-time job when this came out and I could just stream it 8 hours a day. But still so good. I adore it so much. Number 3, we've got The Secret of Us by Gracie Abrams with 798 streams. That's a lot. My favorite songs on it are I Knew It, I Know You, That's So True, I Love You, I'm Sorry, Blowing Smoke, and Us, with Close to You, Tough Love, and Free Now getting honorable mentions. I did a reaction video to this one, and I didn't get it like I do now as well. This album has grown a ton with me. I feel like I kind of just missed like the sad, the slow, the kind of whispery singing of Gracie. That we got on Good Riddance and This Is What It Feels Like, which I always said was always going to be my favorite Gracie project, but I'm not so sure. I feel like The Secret of Us might have taken that. And I learned to love Good Riddance a lot more throughout this year too. It was a big year for Gracie for me. And I got to see her live for the first time, or live as her own act, not as an opener for the Eras Tour, for the first time. And I also got to see her as an opener for the Eras Tour as well this year. So good. It's really elevated how I see Gracie as an artist rather than kind of always having that same slow, somber, sad sound. And she's a lot more diverse than that now, and I give her a lot more credit, and I adore her. One of my favorite artists ever at this point. Fantastic album. Fantastic year. Moving on to number 2, you could probably guess Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter, with 938 streams. That's crazy. I remember there was, in my Spotify Wrapped, it told me that I streamed her for 10 hours one day, and that was the day that it was released. So this pretty short period of time where this album got all these streams. I will say it's not my most streamed recently. It kind of just had that big spike, and then it kind of fell off for the most part. But still, fantastic album. I do prefer Emails I Can't Send over it. But my favorites still are Good Graces, Coincidence, Dumb and Poetic, Slim Pickens, and Juno, with honorable mentions to Espresso, Sharpest Tool, and Taste. Incredible album. Got to see it live. Was a great tour. Just fantastic. So happy with it. And happy that it's done what it has for her. Sabrina's deserved that for a while. She's deserved a lot more than she's gotten. Kind of sad that now it means that I can't ever see her for a reasonable price or without a lot of stress again, but it is what it is. Okay, and then moving on to who would guess the Tortured Poets department. Let's just take a look. Sabrina had 938 streams. Yep, makes sense. It was 31 tracks, and my favorites are Guilty as Sin, But Daddy I Love Him, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, The Black Dog, and The Prophecy, with my honorable mentions going to The Manuscript, Robin, You All Don't Get Her Like I Do, and I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Adore this album. Amazing. It's really hard to sit down and listen to it since it's 2 hours long, but just incredible. I just don't have words for how much this album is, how special this album is, how great this album is. And I'm so glad that I got to see it set on the Eras tour. Okay, moving on. I figured I'd throw in my top albums of all time here. If you want to take a look at these, pause them. You can kind of see where all the Taylor albums line up there. Out of my top 20 albums of all time, Debut is the only Taylor album that didn't make it. And I feel like she wasn't that far off. She had like 400, 500 streams. So you throw in a Taylor's version and she's up there. For the sake of this, I combined some stuff. Like I combined the Speak Now and the regular, like the Speak Now TV and the regular, or, you know, same with all those. Or I combined like Singular Act 1 and 2, or Kelsey and Ballerini. Albums that kind of are like the same thing. Just to make it fair. Yeah, but it's mainly the same artists over and over again. It's Taylor is half of that list. Sabrina is 3 of those, I think. Gracie is 2 or 3 of those. Olivia is like 3 or 4 of those because her unreleased songs are on here too. Yeah, but you can pause that, take a look at it if you want. Just think it's interesting, and it could be nice to compare them year to year. Okay, and then my top songs of 2024. I'll give you my top 50 here. With my top 5 being Espresso, That's So True, Please, 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 Guilty as Sin, and But Daddy I Love Him. As you can see, it was kind of just my top albums, just going down the line, pretty much. Yeah, I feel like I didn't have that many like standout like songs. It was more, I just listened to albums repeatedly. So yeah, you can pause and look at those if you want. And then here's my top songs of all time. Same kind of vibe. Lover is ridiculously high, like that whole album. That was back in my like delusional Swiftie era, when like Me and You Need to Calm Down were all that I listened to, and that whole album, crazy. With Driver's License up there, and some other Sabrina and some other Olivia. 2 songs from this year did end up making it into that top 50 of all time, being Espresso and That's So True at 35 and 44, which I thought was interesting. But everything else is just Taylor, Sabrina, and Olivia. Minus one Conan song I see on there. So, yeah. And then here's, I did the Taylor Swift song sorter again. I thought it could be cool to have to compare year to year. And here's what mine ended up being this year. I gave you my top 50 if you want to pause and look at those. And I gave you my bottom like 20 or so if you want to judge. But my top 10 being You're on Your Own, Kid, This Is Me Trying, Out of the Woods, Mirrorball, Guilty as Sin, All Too Well 10, But Daddy I Love Him, The One, The Black Dog, and The Prophecy. I do think that there's probably some recency bias in there. And then these are always a little hit or miss with how they end up. So don't judge the placements too much, but just shows you which songs I love the most and which songs I maybe don't love the most. With ours down there. Yep. Okay, sounds about right. Yep. Hello. I forgot to include this in the presentation, but I still figured it was important to include. So I threw this together. By 2024 streams for Taylor albums, my most streamed was obviously Tortured Poets. And then after that was Folklore and Speak Now, like I covered, but then the rest of the breakdown is there if you'd like to pause and see that. In terms of all-time streams, Lover's obviously still number 1. I don't know if it's ever going to get hit. We'll see. Folklore, is rising the most, so it has a chance. We'll see if Love Her can ever be taken down as my number 1 all-time streamed album. But Folklore, Midnights, and Tortured Poets are all up there, so we'll see. Once again, I combined the Taylor's versions and the stolen versions together. I obviously don't listen to the stolen versions anymore, but there are lots of leftover streams from back then. It's kind of surprising to me that Reputation is my lowest minus Debut, but that doesn't surprise me. But I guess it's because I overplayed it before it was even on streaming, really. Because it is one of my top favorite albums ever. And then personally, I would rank them Folklore, Speak Now, Reputation as like a clear top 3. Then Torture Poets like very clearly sets into that top 4 slot for me. And then 5, 6, and 7 with 1989, Midnights, and Evermore kind of can shift around in my mind. And then 8 and 9 with Red and Lover can shift as well. And then Fearless and Debut are pretty set at last. I do enjoy all of them. I think Reputation, Taylor's version, has a chance to maybe change that ranking up a little bit. We'll see if it can take back that 2 slot. It used to be at number 1, and I thought it would never be hit. But these past couple of years, Folklore has really gotten to me. And then Speak Now, Taylor's version really did that for me. So we'll kind of see what happens in the future with these. Yeah. Okay. And then I saw 6 concerts this year. I kind of ranked them in an order here. The Eras Tour, obviously, number 1. The Secret of Us Tour was really special for me. I enjoyed that one a lot personally. And then Guts, incredible show. Nice to see her after, like, I was a fan before Driver's License even came out. And like a huge fan. So like that, getting to see her for the first time was a big deal for me. And then Deeper Well, I've been listening to Casey since high school. So seeing her for the first time was fantastic. And then Sabrina and Madison, still great shows, just, not as connected to them personally or the albums that they were playing as much personally. And Sabrina's was a little difficult for me because it was right after Eras Tour, and it was pretty short in comparison, and sweet in comparison. So it just felt a little off. And then Spin and Tour was great. Madison doesn't mean as much to me as the other music, the other artists' music do. But still great. I vlogged them all. If you want to go check them out, I think they're all great videos, but they all are, just me yelling into the camera. It's not like, if you want good concert footage, go somewhere else. That's not where you're going to find it. But if you want to go see them, go enjoy. Moving on to the next category, activity. I don't know what that just did. Okay. 4,208,821 total steps taken this year. That is crazy. With 11,531 average steps per day, 5.1 miles per day, and 1,827 total miles walked this year, which, for comparison, is about the distance from Miami to the end of Maine. That's wild that I walked that this year. That's crazy. Breaking down the steps per month, my most... the month that I walked the most in was March, followed by January, then February, then April, then May. Obviously, it was, the time of year where I was still in school. I was walking around campus a lot, so it makes sense. And then it kind of fell off as the year went on, with my lowest month being July, where I was home for a good amount, and I also, there were less theme park visits, and I also had COVID, so I was stuck in a room for a week. So it makes sense, the trends here. But just crazy seeing it all broken down like this. My top 10 days, you can pause and look at these if you want, but like my top day was the December 17th, where I visited all 4 Disney parks for their holiday celebrations, and I did that Magic Kingdom resort loop up there, and I went to the Polynesian Tower opening, followed by Disneyland Day 3, makes sense. We were doing a lot of walking. I think we parked hop a couple times that day. And then number 3, December 12th, 2 December days in the top 3, where I completed every single Universal Orlando ride in one day, which I totally would have vlogged, but I didn't expect to do that. I just woke up one morning and decided I'm going to go do Hagrid's, and then that turned into doing every single ride that day, just because I could. So, yeah, but there's a bunch of other trips on other park days and stuff on here. There's the Disneyland Prep Day made it on here, Disneyland Day 1, the last day of Country Bears, a SeaWorld day with my family, Busch Gardens at Christmas. A lot of fun days on here, yeah. Moving on to the last big category, my YouTube channel. So I got 12,000 views this year with 1.6 thousand hours of watch time, and I gained 60 subscribers this year. Kind of crazy. I published 72 total videos, with this one being the 72nd. That's wild. And my total all-time views is 17,098, with 1.8 total hours, 1.8 thousand, I can't speak, total hours of watch time, and 113 total subscribers. Hey Voodoo. Yeah, crazy numbers. I didn't expect this to ever happen. This channel was started as like something for me to like look back on these memories and have these like time capsules of these moments within myself to look back on, because I personally have a horrible memory. So kind of fun that I've gotten to share these with other people that enjoy them as well. My top videos this year were in order. The Eras tour makes sense. Torture Poets Department reaction makes sense. Deeper Well, the reaction kind of popped off up there. And then Patterns, and then my first day at Disneyland, the Madison Beer tour, the Olivia tour, the Grammys with the announcement of Tortured Poets when we thought it was going to be Reputation all day. That was a really fun one. My SeaWorld family vacation, and the Found Heaven reaction. Kind of surprising that it made the top 10 there. But all great videos. You can go check them out still if you want. I think they're lots of fun. I personally have rewatched a lot of those. the Eras tour and the Tortured Poets Department reaction, I've rewatched a lot personally. And some other favorites that maybe didn't get as much love, but I think are really special to me. I just limited myself to 10. And if you want to go check them out, I think they're really fun. The first day of Festival of the Arts this year, the Disneyland trip as a whole. Some of them made it into the top 10, but not all of them did. And I've rewatched all of those as well many times. The 1 year anniversary of Disney Noah vlog, I put a little clip from every video in there. That was a lot of fun. The opening of DreamWorks Land, the Gracie Abrams tour. I've watched that one a lot. My first time at Legoland, my 23rd birthday during Halloween Horror Nights of the first night of the event, or the first night I was at the event at least. So all my reactions to everything, that was really fun. Hello Scream going for the first time ever was really special as well. Jenna's birthday where I got her the Marg the puppet thing, and then we played with it all night. That was really silly. And then, like I said, that Polynesian Tower opening day with all 4 parks and all the holiday stuff was a lot of fun as well. And then other statistics that I thought were interesting. So as you can see, the percentages are a little off because for some reason it's not accounting for a lot of them, but most of my viewers came from the US. And then I had small portions from the UK, Canada, Philippines, Australia, Brazil, Germany, and Indonesia. Wow, okay. That's crazy that I'm being perceived all around the world. But cool. Shout out to you if you're from one of those places. And then here's kind of the breakdown of where my views come from. So it's mainly suggestions. So hello, if you're seeing me from one of those, kind of fun. And then as you can see, 95% of my views are from people that are not subscribed. So maybe subscribe. That I would enjoy that. I would appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything. You can always unsubscribe too. I won't judge. Yeah, I don't know. You should do it. I support it. Okay. And then moving on to the future. I really don't have that much to say about the future of Disney Noah vlog. If you missed it, I'm starting an internship with Universal this spring, so I'm sure I'll be around there a lot more. I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm super, super excited. And then I also have tickets to see Kelsey Ballerini on tour in February, so I'm sure I'll be vlogging that. I love to have those memories to look back at, so I'm sure that'll be a fun time as well, if you want to stay tuned for that. As far as other plans, I don't really have anything. I think I'm going to go to the last day of Dino Rama's opening in a couple weeks, but like nothing, no concrete plans yet. So we're just going to kind of see what happens. I do want to rename this channel. So if you want to give me ideas, I'm not sure what I really want to go with. Yeah, but leave some ideas in the comments down below. I want to not have Disney in the title anymore, since, I mean, it is a lot more than a Disney channel. I do Universal, I do SeaWorld, I do all these other parks. I do music stuff like the Kelsey tour and reaction. So I want something that's more all-encompassing. I'm having trouble coming up with what that name should be. Nothing has quite the same ring to it. So if you want to give me ideas, I'd appreciate that. And that's it. So we made it. I knew we would. Thank you so much for watching this year. It really means a lot. I had a lot of fun this year, and I hope you did too. Follow Disney Noah blog on Instagram. If you enjoyed, please like, comment down below, join the Noah Nation notification squad. Comment down below your favorite memory from this year. Comment down below your ideas for what to name the channel. And yeah, I think that's it. I made this presentation using a Slides Go template, so thank you to those people that helped with that. And yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye. 4,280,000